I'm a very big fan of the SpongeBob musical, and I specifically love the costume, so much so that I recently made an hour-long video where I just talk about how much I love the costumes, from the world premiere costumes to the Broadway to the creative world of non-replica and community theatre productions. Now, I've done a lot of SpongeBob musical fan art. Pretty much since the curtains closed on the Chicago world premiere in 2016, I was making fan art, like a lot of it. If you've clicked on this video, it's actually most likely that you're here because you follow me on Tumblr or Instagram and stuff, and you've already seen all the SpongeBob musical fan art I've done. And what was really fun, especially during the run of the Broadway production, which was when I was doing all my fan art, sort of between 2017 and 18, is that I was, doing a lot of drawing, I was making fandom friends, and we were adding little details and things to the characters just to personalize them more. Stuff like friendship bracelets or earrings or tie pins. We were having a good time drawing those beautiful costumes, as well as thinking how to take them, even further. And basically what I'm getting at is I love the costume designs. I've loved seeing people's takes on the costumes across various productions, and I want to design some for myself as if I were the costume designer for a non-replica production of the SpongeBob musical. I'm going to take inspiration 1 from David Zinn's original designs for the world premiere and Broadway productions, 2 from the wide and wonderful designs I've highlighted in my big hour-long video, and 3 from the original cartoon versions of the characters at their first appearances. I'm definitely not by any means an actual costume designer, and I do think that the original designs by David Zinn are amazing, show-stopping, etc. They're not to be beaten. I'm not trying to do better. I just want to do this as an exercise in creativity, for fun and for love. So I'm going to show you a bit of sketching, and then we're going to go into the finished versions, and I'll do it sort of character by character. Let's go. Patrick's is my favourite costume from David Zinn's, but I wanted to emphasise lazy guy with my version. So scruffy, ripped clothes, with stains on them. I really want it to seem like his stuff, the things he's wearing, it's all really old, but he's not willing to throw it out. For inspo, I was looking at the costume designs from the Ellen Eccles Theatre specifically, where their Patrick has long hair and he's wearing Crocs, and Toby's Dinner Theatre, where his head shape, the cartoon head shape, comes from a hat rather than a wig. Most productions of the SpongeBob musical still keep the same David Zinn costume otherwise, usually the Hawaiian shirt and the cartoon shorts, but I wanted to go full slob and try to not use the same Hawaiian shirt look. And I haven't done it for all of these designs, but with this, I was specifically thinking about the UK Tours actor, Irfan Damani, while I was drawing. I'm very excited to see him perform. His singing, that we've heard so far in videos posted on Instagram, I'm like, wow. He sounds absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to see him live. I'm going to be like, oh my god, he is an amazing Patrick. Okay, let's look at finished Patrick. So first things first is his hat. I want it to look homemade and patched together, like he's had it for a long time. The vibe is that, it should look worn in, so maybe the hat is from his childhood, and that's why it sits so funny on his head, but, it creates a silhouette. A detail I like to include in my fan art is adding lots of whimsical piercings to Patrick, inspired by a friend of mine's fan art who always did this. My Patrick has long dark hair with faded pink ends, like maybe he bleached and dyed it a while ago and he hasn't kept up with it. Since Irfan Damani has dark hair, I was thinking about what kind of hair might suit him. In his hand, he's holding a Krusty Krab drink, just because we know Patrick is loyal to the eatery that his best friend works at. Then for extra details, I gave him blue nail polish, and you can see he's got fun bracelets on, other beads. I like to think these things he's held on to from his childhood, just because I also wear a lot of my childhood jewelry. He's got the Goofy Goober ice cream sundae on a necklace there. Like I was saying, my Patrick is a scruffy guy, so he's wearing an old, holy, folia party purple t-shirt under an old pink hoodie with the sleeves ripped off. It's got stains all down the front, from paint maybe, but more likely just food and drink spilling. The most important detail I always used to put in my fan art is the friendship bracelet. So Patrick's is yellow, which is SpongeBob's color, and then it's got pink stripes. And I always liked that the Broadway Patrick costume switched from the cartoon shorts to shorts with an abstract pattern. That's like not broke, don't fix it. You know, it's surf shorts in a 90s print. It makes him very beach bro. Down at the bottom, he's got his Crocs on. Here they're in like slipper mode. To remind you that he's a lazy guy. But by Act 2, you know, he's switching these into sports mode. And here's the full look. You know, he's ready to be your super sea star savior. When I was sketching SpongeBob, I was still kind of thinking of the role originator Ethan Slater from the like Broadway version, and he has a very different body type to the UK actor. Ethan was very like buff and tough, but Lewis is a lot more slender. So as I was doing the design, I was still trying at least to think about doing more of like a Hollywood geeky type look, you know, sweater vest, glasses, maybe a bow tie, a watch on. You know, he looks like the kind of nerd or geek you think of when you imagine them from like the olden days. David Zinn's design with the sweater vest was my absolute favorite. And, you know, in the height of my obsession, I was always drawing the sweater vest with the pineapple texture from SpongeBob's house. And then when it became a yellow shirt on Broadway, I started to put the pineapples on his shirt instead. So I definitely wanted to include the pineapples as part of his, you know, main outfit. And I was thinking I would probably still use trousers over shorts because I want to lean into hipster rather than schoolboy. And I think a sweater vest with shorts would definitely be like, this is a school uniform. At the time of my recording this, there are some promotional images of Louis Cornet in what might be his final look, but the hair seems to have been color edited, so it could still be a placeholder, but either way, they've included glasses in this look, and they're blue. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, he looks like me. This is what I look like. So I was like, oh my god, he's me. So for SpongeBob's final look, I went for a little haircut like the one I saw on Louis Cornet's headshot when I first googled his name. Dyed on top with a natural back and sides, like it's been trimmed a little bit. So I wasn't initially going to give him the blue glasses, but after I saw those posters, I was like, okay, they've given me permission to make him look like me, so he's got the blue glasses. I think that would also help to kind of suggest the idea of cartoon SpongeBob's iconic blue eyes, especially if the actor had brown eyes or something instead. He gets a red watch, just because that's something I always draw in fan art, and he's got the pineapple sweater vest. I changed it from the sketch to be a button-up one, just to add more visual interest, and so that the tie could be tucked in without getting too hidden. I've also given like a maths paper type blue dot pattern on the shirt. That's a bit of a reference to the UK promo poster look where he's got blue circles on. Then again, the most important detail is his friendship bracelet. So SpongeBob's one is pink with yellow stripes on. He's got on brown gingham trousers, not too different from David Zinn's Broadway design for SpongeBob, but I like the trousers to be rolled up a bit for more of a hipster vibe. And the single rolled down sock is a reference to the slime tutorial of the Chicago premiere version of the musical, whereby Best Day Ever, one of SpongeBob's socks had like rolled all the way down due to his like onstage stunts. So, you know, it just shows that the character has lots of things to do. You know, he's a hero, he doesn't always have time to check that his outfit is neat. Finally, the shoes. I should have made them look more shiny here, but basically imagine like Doc Martens chunky brogues or something. And here's the full look. This is definitely like a non-binary hipster SpongeBob, you know? David Zinn's Sandy design is another really, it's not broke, don't fix it type. I personally think the afro hairstyle used to create the silhouette of cartoon Sandy's air helmet was an actual stroke of genius, and I'm not about to mess with that. Otherwise, I'm thinking David Zinn's Chicago Sandy, she had a few more shiny space age elements. I remember she was wearing shiny like trainer sneakers, and I think she had like a holographic jacket. I might be imagining that. Anyway, I like the space age elements. You can see there's a couple here that I've used for reference. Versus like the plain black and white boiler suit of the Broadway look. It does resemble a karate outfit, but I think I wanted to lean more into space age and maybe add like a bit more color to the design as well, because compared to her two boys, she is wearing like a less exciting outfit, I would say. So finished Sandy here, she's got the iconic silhouette, you know, created by the afro. I used the colours for the flower from her first cartoon appearance, and her makeup is inspired by Diana Ross in the 1970s. I started drawing Sandy with acorn earrings in my fan art, starting just after the show opened on Broadway, and I think it caught on with a few other fan artists during the Broadway run too, so it was nice to see other people also giving her acorn earrings, and my Sandy is gonna have them. So she's got her top peeking out through the top of the jumpsuit here. I just, like I said, wanted to bring more colour into my Sandy design, so I took the purple from the bikini that cartoon Sandy wears under her spacesuit. It's polka dotty just for visual interest, but there it is. I changed the actual jumpsuit from the rough sketch to be wore based on this vintage 1970s jumpsuit I found in a Google search. I loved the detail stitching, so I just changed that to be purple for more sort of visual consistency, but it also slightly references the stripe design on cartoon Sandy's sleeves. She's got silver lilac nail polish just for a pop and to coordinate with her eye makeup. And I've given her light pink nunchucks here. On Broadway, they were hot pink in the previews, and then by opening night, they were white, so I just split the difference there. Then she's got a shiny belt and a wristwatch on for those space-age elements. The legs of the jumpsuit have cuffs to keep them tucked into her shiny silver boots, again, coordination with her accessories, giving her the space-age vibe. The red circle on the boots is a reference to her cartoon boots. And here's her full look. I just wanted her to look a bit more colourful and in keeping with her boys. They've got like a high level of accessorization in my designs, so she needs to be as accessorized. Now, as for Plankton, my design here was informed more by knowing that they cast Davina De Campo, a well-known drag queen, in the role, and I don't expect Plankton in the UK tour to be in drag, but I just wanted to add a few more like drag elements and combine that mad scientist vibe. I put a mad scientist coat and the iconic villain eye patch, but with maybe some drag makeup or something else that sort of makes the design look a bit more drag inspired. I just wanted to, make it a bit more dressed up. I think if it hadn't been a drag queen who had been cast, then I probably would have done something different with my design, but I couldn't stop thinking about that as part of the concept, I've seen Davina as Hedwig in Hedwig and the Angry Inch, so I know she's going to be amazing no matter what, and I think, she's got a fantastic villainous laugh, so she's going to be an amazing Plankton. For finished Plankton here then, I switched the wig from the sketch to be one inspired more by this one from Coleytown Middle School, because I thought it looked, with those twirls and stuff, to be way more fitting for a drag performer. Then he's got dramatic eye makeup on to, let's draw attention to the face. The face. He has red and yellow eyeshadow, which references the color of cartoon Plankton's eye, and then a bit of green blush for the green, everything. And then I thought I would lean into the finger puppet idea to emphasize the scale of Plankton, as he's supposed to be compared to the other characters on stage. Chicago's version of the musical had a finger puppet, so I thought, why not have the finger puppet be attached to the performer's glove? A long opera glove that's black to sort of separate it from the rest of the costume, but also, an opera glove is very camp as well. Now, my love of pattern and pattern clothes comes in here on the trousers. I thought, why not have a print of phytoplankton be the sort of design for the trousers? Just because, in my mind, this fabric should be jacquard or something, so that it's shiny and catches the stage lights when Plankton's dancing around during his number. Amazing. And then for shoes, just pointy loafers, because I believe that Plankton and Mr. Krabs should have pointy shoes, as their cartoon selves just have, pointy little nubs for feet. The full look here, evil, dramatic, just a little shade of drag queen. Here we go. I like that David Zinn wanted to emphasize silhouette with the costume designs. He does it really well on pretty much all of them, but I feel Karen's is the one where the silhouette wasn't really there. The aesthetic definitely is with the robot 1960s housewife sort of thing going on. She's giving fembot with the shiny silver and stuff, but I always thought that her hairstyle, which I think is just sort of a normal beehive, needed to be a bit more angular to suggest sort of that square head. And she should maybe have something more robotic about her look in general. So for finished Karen, like I said, I wanted to emphasize that silhouette without going so far as to put a box on her head. So I gave her a secretary-style hairdo, but still sort of an angular shape. Her makeup, I think it should still be silver and shiny to suggest metal. And I've given her a lot of highlight all over her skin to suggest that maybe it's plastic, like a hard, shiny plastic, or otherwise synthetic, so she seems more like a robot. I changed her visor from a dark sunglasses type in the sketch to a light up LED type, so more cyberpunk. With the waveform, it could be fun if it was one of those Spotify codes that takes you to the cast album when you scan it. Then silhouette-wise, along with the angular wig, I thought she should have a top-heavy outfit with like a tight-fitting dress underneath a cropped blazer with big shoulder pads to create a squarer upper body and a more stick-like lower body. I threw a circuit board print on her dress just for visual interest, and then she's got her shiny, sparkly tights. They're still a little bit green, but less so than in David Zinn's design, closer to her cartoon colour palette. Then I just gave her some insane Heelys, not at all practical. I know the wheels, they could just be for show, but equally they could really be Heelys so she could glide around. And I realised as I was finalising the design that actually what I'd subconsciously been really leaning towards was the look of Rachel in Blade Runner. And then when I looked back at David Zinn's design sketch for Karen, I realised he was doing the same thing. Like he had given that Karen design sketch Rachel's hairstyle and the sort of shoulder shape. So anyway, I just leaned really hard into it, so here she is. Now, I love how colourful the SpongeBob musical is. It's the reason I'm so into it, but I do think Squidward shouldn't be that colourful. He, in the cartoon, is very beige, very desaturated. So I sort of want my version to be as desaturated, trying to lean back into that cartoon colour palette, which is really like a turquoise grey, and then he's got a brown shirt rather than like a bright orange. I also think Squidward, should look older and more weary than the rest of the cast. This guy is like over 50. And I was thinking he should have more of a formal look than any of the other characters to sort of suggest how uptight he is. Here's my finished Squidward. So I gave him glasses in the dark red of his cartoon eyes, and his hairstyle should still be rounded to suggest his head shape, but with a high forehead and a receded hairline, because cartoon Squidward is made out to be bald, so musical Squidward can just be balding. Now, David Zinn's design is very 1970s inspired, so I maintained that. So I gave him a very 1970s style shirt. The pattern on it, on the sort of side panels there, is supposed to suggest tentacle suckers. And I also think, since Sandy doesn't have a tail or ears, she's human on stage, Squidward is okay to be two-legged only. Maybe, my production is very low budget or something, I can't afford 4 legs. I just like the idea of everyone being very much human on stage. So I gave him these exaggerated shirt tails coming out from under his jumper just to suggest those extra legs. And then for shoes, brown and white wingtips just to tie into the shirt a bit and give the design some more cohesion. So here's a full Squidward. He's very haughty and snobbish here, very much the underappreciated artiste of his time. Pearl, her cartoon self, has a real cheerleader vibe, and David Zinn translated this really nicely by using an afro-textured wig styled into an exaggerated pompadour to suggest the shape of cartoon Pearl's whale head. But I thought, okay, she's preppy, but since she's really into this punk band during the story of the musical, maybe her look could also be more punk. I did see Cedar Hill High School also gave a punk design, but I wanted to also maintain that silhouette. So I was thinking maybe like a 1980s punky mohawk. Since David Zinn's design fair was also pulling a lot from 1980s aesthetics, but in a more preppy direction, I was trying to sort of marry the two aesthetics together and have her be a prep who's into punk, if you know what I'm saying. Puff sleeves and ripped denim together. Is a finished Pearl. So, as I was saying, I was trying to maintain the silhouette of cartoon Pearl, but leaning into the punk aesthetics. So I saw this crazy mohawk hairstyle on a punk girl, and I thought, that's perfect, I'll give her that. Her makeup is inspired by the cartoon version's blue eyes and pink and white outfit, but again, in that 80s punky style. I wanted her outfit to still be pink and preppy-ish underneath. Like maybe this is a new look for her, and that's why Mr. Krabs is so against it. But she hasn't turned her whole wardrobe upside down just yet. She's still wearing her pink preppy things, but in a punky way. The shell-shaped phone case is a reference to the phone in the Chicago's version. Pearl had, a shell-shaped phone, and I thought, absolute crime that it didn't make it to Broadway. Like, what a good phone case. Why would they, The band t-shirt has been DIY punkified with the fringe. It was inspired by the band t-shirt that I made for my brother's first college band gig. She's got accessories on. She's accessorized with a bunch of repurposed gold and pearl necklaces. The P one on here is a reference to the P on her cartoon self's dress, as well as the famous Anne Boleyn B necklace that you can buy cheap knockoffs of with any initial you want on. Then she has blue fishnets for A, the punk vibe, but also B, to tie into that blue-grey hairstyle up top. For shoes, she's got on really extra Kiss-style boots, because after all, the Chicago electric skates were definitely more of an 80s hair metal-inspired, look for their appearances. So the final look for her, definitely a departure from David Zinn's design, and if I'm honest, I do still prefer his, but, this is just an exercise in me trying something different. Mr. Krabs is one of the characters from the cartoon that is wearing actual clothes, so a lot of the work is done for the costume designer anyway. Just by adding those boxing gloves, once again, David Zinn's design is truly, it's not broken, don't fix it. But I wanted to try something anyway, how to suggest Mr. Krabs without the boxing gloves, still keeping to my own rule of having characters be human-looking on stage. I guess boxing gloves aren't inhuman, but you're also, in your normal human life, not likely to be wearing them just day to day to be working in your restaurant. You know what I mean, you know what I'm saying. So here's the final Mr. Krabs. I pivoted a bit from the sketch version of him, but inspired by the UK tour promo photo, I did give him the wiggly mustache. If I'm honest, it does make him look a lot like Wario, but I also gave him, a red nose for that too fond of the booze look, and I gave him a gold tooth for the crusty old pirate vibe. The red blazer and blinged out look is really mostly inspired by this unknown high school, as seen in this TikTok by Ryan Z, leaning into him looking more like a sleazy salesman, which he is, with his open collar, his chest hair on full display, the jewel-encrusted rings and the gold chains. I want him to look like he's trying really hard to look rich, hence the money just spilling out of his pockets. There's not much to be said about the rest. Cartoon Mr. Krabs has purple trousers, and like I've said before, he should have the pointy shoes for reasons I've already expressed. Here's the final Mr. Krabs. For Squidward Part 2, obviously, the David Zinn design, the Not a Loser outfit is beautiful, it's iconic. I just think it would sparkle most if it was in contrast to Squidward having a more drab outfit to begin with. I know the reason why it looks the way it does in the existing musical, because it's a quick change, he's just throwing on a blazer. Anyway, just, in my hypothetical world, it'd be nice if there was a strong contrast, so where in his normal outfit he's wearing very, drab colours, his Broadway fantasy self is all glittering and saturated and just full sparkle, So Squidward's Broadway look, of course, it is still mostly that recolored version of the iconic A Chorus Line suit. He's just got his top hat on in his toothpaste green. I took off his glasses and added sparkly eyeshadow to make it more of a bigger visual transformation. He's had a real glow up for his fantasy. Obviously, you still want the blazer to be all sequins or glitter, but with the added purple accent colour to tie into the colour of cartoon Squidward's tentacle hands and feet. And since he doesn't have the extra legs, I still wanted to suggest them by having an exaggerated tailcoat with a tentacle design on the inside, like a spruced up version of the shirt tails on his normal outfit. The tap shoes then are still white, but now with the purple sole. Again, that's the tentacle colour. So the final Squidward look here, just to really emphasize how beautiful and sparkly he is in his tap number, in contrast to his regular, more desaturated look. He's shining, he's definitely not a loser. Okay, so that's all of my designs for our hypothetical production in which I designed the costumes. The good news is that with the UK tour beginning very soon, I think from the time of me recording it will be in a week, I have their costumes to look forward to see, how they're going to look. I'm really excited. And I've also, as I've been, just spending time thinking about SpongeBob musical, I've discovered a few more community and non-replica productions, so maybe I can make a part 2 of my big long video. Appreciating all the costumes, but probably not another hour long. Please follow me on Tumblr or Instagram or both at Really Hardy Draws, and if you're in the UK, please go see the tour if it comes to a stop near you, or if it's on at a local theatre near you, go see it. Please feel free to message me about it. I always want to talk about the SpongeBob musical. That is all. Thank you very much.